Malaysia is introducing a new anti-terror law. The government hopes to stem the flow of its citizens going abroad to fight with terror groups like ISIL. The measure will also crack down on other domestic security threats. Critics fear elements of the bill are left over from the time Malaysia was under British rule. CCTV's Rian Maelzer has our story.
It surprised many when Prime Minister Najib Razak announced in 2011 that his government would scrap the Internal Security Act. The law was intended to combat armed insurgency and allowed for indefinite detention without trial or charges. Critics argued it was far too often used against political opponents. Others, though, believe it helped keep a lid on extremism, including post-9/11 Islamist militancy.
The ISA was quite effective. Those people who were in control of security apparatus were not in favor of the removal of the ISA because, you know, the principle of the ISA is, of course, preventive detention. Preventive detention means you want to nip the problem in the bud.
Now Malaysia's government says it is looking at bringing back elements of the Internal Security Act when it introduces a new anti-terror bill in March. That worries Tian Chua, a social activist turned member of parliament who was jailed for 2 years under the ISA. The courts later awarded him compensation for wrongful detention.
When security forces can just nab anybody without going through the stringent necessity to gather evidence against a person's liberty, then they tend to make the security forces complacent.
A law that replaced the ISA allows for 28 days detention without trial, which Chua believes is sufficient to combat threats like Islamic State.
IS enter as a convenient time for the government to justify why they need to reintroduce the law.
Many members of Najib's ruling party opposed scrapping the Internal Security Act in the first place, and the party's grassroots have been pushing for its return. They argue that eliminating the preventive law has hurt the government's ability to combat threats to national security, both homegrown and foreign. Rian Maelzer, CCTV, Kuala Lumpur.